this poll. I love polls. I love GoToWebinar because they got polls. They're so much fun. It helps me get an understanding, kind of just like how people are trading. I like seeing what everybody else is doing. Oh, I already got 100% 15-minute time frame. Let's go. There's never any real wrong answer when I do these little polls, because everybody trades their own way, you know. So whether I know guys that like legit only trade the 1 minute time frame. I don't know how they do it, but that's crazy just to only trade the 1 minute. The the 1 minute gives me freaking hemorrhoids. Oh wait, come. Oh, Andy's on his way. Andy's on his way. Um, 30 minute, 1 hour. I like that. I like people putting 4 hour and daily in. I mean, it's a low percentage, but like I'm loving it. I'm super all about it. I make a lot of entries primarily based off of the 4 hour time frame, especially like 4 hour wick fills. I'll go straight 4 hour time frame entries only, not even looking at any other time frame. And then maybe peek in on the 15-minute time frame because I like using my 15-minute time frame for stop losses. That's where I have my major and minor zones at, support and resistance, supply and demand, etc. So I'm really using this is me. Oh, Andy, what? Let me find you. Let me find you. All right, let me find you. Hold on. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I don't see you. Andy, plug a mic in. Oh, there we go. There you go, Andy. Andy, can you hear?
Hey, what's up? Sorry, man.
What's up, brother?
Sorry about that.
Nah, you got nothing to be sorry about. So,
No, my dog right out.
you're what?
Okay, I'm listening. My dog, he needed to go outside.
Okay. So I mean, obviously, I don't think Andy's really ever been in like a little webinar that I do, but I usually like to do polls in the beginning. I like to get an idea of what people are doing, so I make a couple little polls. So I'm going to close this poll, and then I'm going to go with the next poll. This is a really big issue I find in Forex, and it is trusting your own analysis. That's a huge that's a huge thing that I feel like many people are struggling with. So I want to kind of get an idea of why you guys are maybe not trusting it, or if you trust your analysis, go with freaking 100% on the bottom. Like I trust my analysis. Shut up, Kyle. Yeah.
We have to, right? We have to like not be cocky but confident.
Yeah, it's confidence. Like if you trust your analysis, that's what we're here for. Like if you take entries and you don't know why you took that entry, just close out and watch. Cool. I don't follow. Cool. So this is giving me a good idea of how I want to help out, like entry wise. Andy, what time is it where you're at? It's 5, right?
It's 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm in Southern California.
Oh shoot!
So
I'm from California originally.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Why
Vallejo, like the Bay Area.
why'd you become a Canadian?
I've been in I'll never be a Canadian, bro. No, I came up here last year. My wife lives here. Is from here.
Oh,
So.
she's Canadian?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been cool because I've got to meet Rag. I've got to meet
Yeah.
Ted. So it's really cool, So I got to get over there again.
Absolutely. That's I want I miss it was so cool meeting Ted I always remember meeting Ted for the first time when I flew out to Toronto, and like I was in my wheelchair, and then like out of the whole crowd of like, I mean, Raquel was there, Keely was there, all kinds of phenomenal traders were there. And then Uncle Ted like pushes everybody away like he's Moses parting the Red Sea, and he goes, "I want to go say hi to Kyle," and it was so cool.
Yeah, you can tell where he's at because he's probably going to be the tallest guy.
Yeah, but he's so mentor like, just like.
Oh, he's so selfless, and he's a caring guy. He's a good individual in general. Like take away Forex, whatever. He's the real deal.
Yeah, he's the real deal. So I'll always remember Ted like pushing everybody away and walking right up to me. It was really cool. But
that's pretty cool.
So I didn't know what I wanted to do today's webinar on, and then I just kind of hit me like entries because people that are in like the survivors chat were talking about entries and in the other chat. So I wanted to just go and dive in with entries and like what people are looking for. Um so all of you that are here, thanks for coming. You know that I have these webinars on Mondays usually, so they're usually reoccurring, just to kind of keep people up to snuff on forex charts. But so when I'm trading, guys, if you guys attend my webinars, the first thing that I'm always is the screen being shared too. You can see it, right, Andy?
Yes.
Okay.
I can now, yes.
So, of course, the first thing that I'm doing, because I like to trade, I love New York session. So my favorite time to trade is 6 a.m. That's my optimal time. I like it right when that new 4 hour candle opens because it tells a lot of stories what happened before. So
For sure.
but my whole trading plan is literally based around this. It's literally based around every single 4 hour candle in a day, and then the daily. So of course I have my 6 a.m. and then I've got 10 a.m. and then I've got 2 p.m., which is around like the Asian time opening, and then of course 6 p.m. I mean, usually I'm done by here, but I keep my trading plan really open throughout the day because there's 4 hour candles in a day. So I'm a big believer in you can never miss an opportunity while trading. So what goes down must come up, what goes up must come down. So there's always an opportunity to trade. And for me, what I'm doing is I'm mainly trading the beginning of 4 hour candles. Like I'm trading around 6 a.m., 10 a.m. If I don't trade by 6 a.m. or because in the 6 a.m. time you have 4 1 hour candles, of course, in one 4 hour, 1 4 hour candle. So if I don't have confirmation, if I don't um, have confirm by 6 a.m., usually by 7 a.m. I do. If I don't have confirm by 7 a.m. Or by 8 a.m., then I'll wait till 9 a.m. And if I don't have any confirm by then, I'll just wait till 10 o'clock because usually price is ready to go. And then if there's usually nothing in there, I base everything around, of course, the 4 hour, and then
there's usually some movement. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
there's usually some movement at the end of London close.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. You mean like 1? Or it'd be 1 o'clock my time?
Yeah, 1 o'clock your time, 11 o'clock my
Yeah,
time. Yes, sir.
100%. Yeah, no, that's 100%.
For sure. So,
The pre-pushes on London, because if I trade London, I like to trade London the hour before. I like the pre-push usually, see how it sets up, and then trade it. But anyway, so what I like going through like with everybody is, so let's say we're asleep and I just wake up and I just woke up, and I'm gonna use this as an example because I took this trade and this was a nice day. I'm gonna highlight this area, right? So we wake up in the morning. Let me just take off all my EMAs to keep it naked, right? So of course, so first thing I'm doing when I wake up is I'm getting up at 5:30, and then it gives me about that 30 minutes to kind of assess the market to see what's going on in that time. But usually I'm getting ready to take entries for the most part, at least 7 out of 10 times at that beginning of the 4 hour candle. So if I don't have confirm, then I'll look at EU, I'll look at EJ, I have about 4 to 5 pairs that I look at every single day that when I'm trading at these specific times, because I'm using things like I've adopted the currency meter from Raquel, and I don't know if you've ever used.
Oh, that thing is gangster. Are you kidding me?
It is.
I can't live without it.
It's so gangster that I'm not kidding. Like I legitimately I won't take like a trade just based off the currency meter. But like if we have a 4 hour Wickfield going bearish and like the Japanese yen is super strong like it is like now and the US dollar is super weak, I'm just taking sales. I'm not questioning myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
but UJ was kind of in a. I mean, there was movement today.
not so much.
Good, but huh?
Not what I like.
No. I was gonna say, if you look at 1 hour, it's almost like a consolidation. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, especially if you look at like when we look at that 4 hour for an
That was
example,
all day. That was
all
all day.
day,
That was
all
that one breakout candle. You see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and like I guess it was the morning. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Where it bounced up off that. Yeah, yeah. But that was it.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of potential right now to do potential 4 hour wick fill going down, but since we have such like a rejection here, it also leaves a lot of opportunity to push up. But
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
like second guessing myself when I'm trading. And like if you look at how the daily closed, like it's really telling me that we're probably going to push down to the low side. But there's this
yeah.
whole wick range area that we can fill if it fails to break. But I want to
Well,
walk.
we're at a weekly support too,
Exactly.
right
And
there.
and you see like it hasn't broken it, but when you just apply, price action and just the momentum, like price is
Yep.
making lower highs, lower lows to go down
Now,
into that downside. And if you look at
yes, sir.
the weekly finish off so strong bearish. Like look at this like weekly wick fill, you know what I mean? The pushing down to that low side. But, touching into the entry side, so I just want to move into it for these guys. So like I said, guys, I'm trading literally the if I don't like I'm trading the beginning of like 6 hour the 4 hour candle at 6 a.m. That's legitimately my favorite trade. So if I wake up in the morning and like I said, I'm gonna use this as my example because I love this was a really nice day. I'm gonna highlight this a different color, right? So of course you guys can see what we have going on here. So we wake up first thing in the morning. None of this noise has happened yet, right? None of this has happened yet. And then we wake up and we see, okay, we've already reached this kind of major resistance here. And then you can see how strong that 4 hour candle closed bearish. That's a really good indicator for me that, obviously that we're going down. So if I'm already sell bias in the morning, like 100% sell bias, even 99% sell bias, then that's when I'm going to usually either go straight to currency meter or I'm going to go to the 15-minute time frame. So if I'm on that 15-minute time frame, for an example, and you can see based off of the 6 o'clock candle, right? So when I'm trading, I'm looking for lower highs and lower lows on the 4 hour time frame or the 15-minute time frame. It applies to all time frames, but of course we have the highest kind of high area here. This in this area. So this actually hadn't happened yet at 6 a.m. But so if I'm sell confirm first thing in the morning and I draw up those support and resistances, I'm using the 15-minute time frame as my stop loss a lot because if the 4 hour time frame's telling us we're going down, then I'm leaving room all the way. I'm leaving this amount of room to the top of these wicks for my stop loss. Because if I'm up at 5:30 and I can already see like 5:30 would have already made my little signature that I call 2-1 confirm. It makes a higher high, a lower low, a lower high, right on like a resistance or a support, and it's gonna push down in that direction, especially with that higher time frame confirm. But I see a lot of people when they're making their entries is they're not leaving any room for like stop loss. So they're putting like 5 pips every time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel because like we touched on the group chat where you said like there's no such thing like about the whole perfect entries and
Yeah.
ultimately it's true ultimately it's true, but I think a lot of people are mistaking their risk to reward where they're saying, well, I'm just going for 10 pips every time and I'm having a 5 pip stop loss every time. But if you were to enter a sell at a specific time, for an example, and you didn't understand, like I'm using these 15-minute time frames as my stop loss. So if I'm sell confirm, especially first thing in the morning where I know that 4 hour candle is usually going to have a push, more times out of none, it's going to push first thing usually at that 6 o'clock candle, right? Or the right
Yeah.
when 4 o'clock.
And that I was going to say that's 9 o'clock for me, and me and you were trading at the same time. So this is wonderful stuff because we're talking about all the same stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same
exactly.
thing. Like I used to not be a believer in New York session, and then when I talked to Uncle Ted one day, and he's like, "Yeah, I was in his car actually when I was in Toronto." He's like, "I trade every day between 7 and 9 every single day. Like that's just what he does." And I was like, "Well,
That's so awesome.
I was like, I thought people don't like New York session because it gives too many fake outs. But when you understand that higher time frame momentum, you're like, okay, well now I can get a better idea. So
yeah, because it does the same thing over and over, and like it takes away
over,
your fear.
over and over, because if let me open up a couple other pairs. So I'm gonna open up I'm gonna open up like 3 pairs for an example, so I can show like exactly what goes through my mind. So I've been trading EJ a little bit lately too.
Oh, nice.
I feel like EJ pays out just like GJ, but it's not as wild as GJ. Like GJ is too wild for me. I personally cannot handle GBP Jeffy. I just can't. I'm afraid of her. When I go on GJ, I'm literally giving myself freaking hemorrhoids. Like,
hey, GBP USD moves pretty
oh
crazy too.
oh my god. So GU is amazing. Have you did you ever learn about
Yeah, I've
the?
seen it a couple times just messing around live too. Yeah, but yeah, it's wild.
Oh, it's pretty wild. But
I was very careful.
did you did you ever did you ever look at like the correlations between the GU?
No, but I've heard about it. I've seen people talking about it in the chats and stuff, and I just listen.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it's I'll just pull them up. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
It can confuse you a lot when you're trading those, those 3 pairs. But the way that it basically works is if USD Jappy is going bullish and like GBP USD is going bullish, GBP Jappy is going to be twice as bullish. If USD Jappy is going bearish, and if GBP Jap or if USD Jappy is going bearish and GBP USD is going bullish, then GBP Jappy is going to move into the direction of that correlating currency. So either the US dollar or the Japanese yen. I don't know if that makes sense. So I'll pull up what that looks like. It gets a little confusing. Like I was trading just GU, GJ, and UJ for the longest time, but then you can end up confusing yourself a lot just because you're bouncing between every pair, and you're like, oh, well, this one's going up, well, this one's going down, and then
But there just comes a point to where you trust your eyes with price action.
Yes. So here we go. So, anyways, I'm just gonna show people what it looks like when I'm trading first thing in the morning. So, of course, my 4-hour time frame, and this is why my trading plan is around the 4-hour time frames, and it's why it's around 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 2 p.m. for like the Asian time, is because here's a great example. So, if you see like how GBP USD closed off this morning, like it was extremely bearish. Like, of course, we are making an overall higher low, but if you look what the pip count did first thing in the morning when it dropped, let's see how many pips like it went down. So you can see first thing in the morning, it ends up dropping 15 pips on GBP USD just by following that higher time frame momentum. Let's see what it ended up looking like. And you can see it's right. So it's so right around. Was there news today? I didn't trade at all. There may have been news, huh?
No, I don't.
No.
Think there was.
But
maybe I was a bad trader and it didn't move, but yeah.
But you can definitely see there may have been like a potential area. Wait, what time was this at? From 7:30? This was all it moved. Oh, this was the only little move that it went. Oh no, it made the large pullback. So this was a little bit more on the wild side, but it definitely did pull. But let me go back to the 4-hour. Okay.
That's 15.
Yeah. So just I don't want to confuse everybody too much because I didn't trade this.
And on the 4-hour, it made a lower high.
On this area here.
Oh, sorry, higher low. Sorry.
Yeah, right here, potential higher low.
Yeah.
So no, you're fine.
Not smart.
No, you're fine. So 6 a.m. right, 10 a.m. and let's just say 2 p.m. I'm just gonna keep these up. The reason why I'm trading around these, like in particular, like 3 opportunities for those of you who are paying attention and watching, is because let's say you trade in the morning and you really don't have confirm where direction is going. Well, eventually, look what ends up happening. We end up having a price making another higher low on the 4-hour. And then what does it end up doing? It leaves us off with a nice wick to be filled, right? Right at 10 a.m. So you can see from 10 a.m. all the way until 2 o'clock right now, it was nothing. There was absolutely zero drawdown. So if you would have looked at like the 15-minute for an example, you would see what is the 15-minute doing since 10 a.m. We are only making, right? So we got the lowest point possible. So our lower lows. And then let's do a I'm just gonna kind of drop a couple little boxes
You're
here.
good, man. I like your zones. You do. I agree with all of them.
I literally just from paying attention to like Raquel and
For sure. Mm-hmm.
I think it was legit like staring at the charts for so many hours every single day that I just look straight left and I just see, okay, what do we got? Okay, well, obviously, like, you know what I mean? You draw it across the whole screen and you're
You
like,
literally just said what I would have said. I
yeah,
would have mentioned Raquel, and then I would have said charts.
that's it. Like, and then, so what do we got? We have,
Very simple.
yeah, that's it. So this is actually a lower high, but I'm just going to label it higher high, and then we've got more higher lows. So if we're looking at that another higher high here, this becomes a higher high to me because we are kind of there, and then this becomes another higher low. But as you guys can see, when you're trading around the 4-hour time frame candles, you can get a really good idea of where price is going to make its push based off of those 4-hour time frames. So I'm leaving my trading plan open for the beginning of 4-hour. I'm primarily taking all of my entries off of a 4-hour time frame signal every single day. So if I didn't trade at 6 a.m. or let's say I traded at 6 a.m. and I'm just gonna say I got stopped out and I took a little loss, right? And instead of revenge trading, getting back in, blah blah blah, whatever, I may leave open to 10 a.m. So like when I'm trading with my students in particular, like they're on the same schedule that I trade. So all of us are literally trading around the beginning and the ends of like 4-hour candles. So that leaves us available to everybody to trade at 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 2 p.m., etc. But so if we're looking at the 4-hour time frame and we see, let me block everything, right? So we didn't trade 6, let's say, and then now we've got 10 a.m. So we've got the new 4-hour candle that just opened. So we have a potential wick to be filled. So you say, okay, well, what has price been doing, right? We look at that 15-minute time frame. I like the 15-minute for those because it gives us a really good indication of where our stop loss will be. So if we're getting on like right around 10, for an example, my stop loss, I'm using my stop loss if I'm buy bias, I'm going to be looking at these types of wicks. So I'll see this wick range, I'll see this wick range. So GU moves a lot better. Like GJ will have like a wick way up here, and you'll have to have like a 70 pip stop loss, I swear. So I just don't trade GJ. It's way too scary. But GU actually does move very nice. So if I'm trading, so if I'm getting on like a half an hour before, for an example, and I see potential wick fill, or I just wait for that 4-hour candle to close, right? And then I'm looking at the 15 minutes. So the 15 minute is going to be not only my entries, but potential just stop loss. So my stop loss, I'm going to see this area of this nice zone, and I'm going to look either go down here or I'm going to be looking like around here at this wick. But you always want to leave extra room because price will do whatever it wants. And it can just stop you out and just keep pushing. So I may look way down here and say, well, if I'm entering, let's do a little risk to reward. So we have a potential 8 pip stop loss if we're entering like right here, or even if we enter right at 10. So here's from 9:45 right until the new 10 o'clock. So if our entries are right here, for an example, right? So there's about a 12 pip potential stop loss that I'm going to allow price to come down and make its consolidation before it launches. And then look at what the reward ends up being, right? So you've got maybe 12 pip to look at how much reward you have. But as you can see, it becomes zero drawdown, literally. So for the most part, I'm not a guru. I'm not the best trader at all by any means, but I tend to not suffer as much drawdown sometimes, just because I'm legitimately trading most of my trades off like 4-hour wick fills. Like I'll trade like 4-hour wick fills only, and I'll just look at six
A lot
different
of that
pairs.
comes with patience because how many times have you like entered too early and you're like, man, if I would have waited 5 or 10 more minutes, you know what I mean? So it's better, like with entries, it's better to be a little bit late than too early.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Because, for myself, it's like when we were talking about in the chat earlier, and I said, about the perfect entries, and it actually, by having that mentality, becomes kind of wrong. And the reason being is sometimes I'll see a move happening, and I'll be like, well, I missed my entry, I'm not getting in, and it'll go like 30, 40 more pips. And I'll psych myself out. I'll be like, well, I'll put myself down rather than build myself up. You know what I'm saying? And just
Oh yeah.
riding the trend.
I mean, early on, I used to try to get those wick entries and stuff, and I still do. Like, let's say there's news, and I see like prices jumping up for liquidity, and it hits like a 4-hour zone. Then I'll clip it, and then it pushes down to go in the way because with news, it usually goes the opposite way first.
Yeah, like if it's like positive news for USD Jappy, it might go bearish to grab some liquidity to push up.
Exactly. Oh yeah, all the time, and like the same market behavior happens over and over.
Oh, it's the same market. Yeah.
Yeah. I call it market behavior. It might be called something else.
No, I like market behavior. That's a great thing. So I really wanted to touch on for like these guys that are in here is like potential stop loss. So because I mean I trade different, you'll trade different, everybody trades so differently. So that's why I'm using every time I'm entering the market, it's because I'm already having a 4-hour bias. I always want a 4-hour bias every single time. So if I don't have that bias, then I don't trade. I just don't trade. You know what I'm saying? I just say, well, I have time. I've got 10 o'clock. I have 2 o'clock. I can trade London Open. There's so many times in a day that you can trade that if you just allow yourself to, have a larger horizon, then it leaves less room for failures. So when I'm trading in the beginning of a 4-hour candle, and I'll do more examples, like here would have been a great opportunity for potential bullish wick fill, right? If I would have gone to the strength meter and seen where the strength meter was at the time, the GBP may have been a lot stronger than the US dollar was, so it would have been a good potential maybe that it's going to keep pushing up. I would have, checked news, etc. But the 15-minute time frame is where either just my entries or mainly also my stop losses. Because I'm going to be looking down here. Like, I'm literally going to be looking around these wick areas that if I am buy bias and we are going up, then my stop loss is going to be down here. And then I'm going to allow the trade to ride. And then you can see what it does. It just continues to make, higher highs and higher lows, right? So it just continues going higher highs, right? Higher lows. And so you know that the trend is bullish. It breaks structure, so it makes a new higher high. It breaks the next structure, it makes a new higher high, and then it finally breaks this structure, and now we're kind of doing another consolidation where this resistance now turns support, potentially can push up to the high side for Asian Open, since Asian Open is usually always bullish. So following that 4-hour time frame, you can see how this 4-hour closed. So if we're just going to be following the momentum, why wouldn't we be going to this whole wick range area? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense why we wouldn't.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You see what I'm saying?
Nothing about that looks bearish.
Nothing looks bearish. Like it could be a potential lower high on the 4-hour, but look how strong that finished off. And the 15-minute time frame, we have higher highs and higher lows. Like it's making higher highs, higher lows. It just keeps going, and now we've just kind of consolidated here for 2 hours. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1 hour. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 hours. Like 2.5 hours, we're just kind of sitting here. So it can go kind of either way. But I'm gonna give another example off of like EJ. So I didn't trade EJ yet today, but let's do another example. So another thing. Okay, so I'm trading. Right, it's first thing in the morning. Right, let's look at what the 15-minute time frame. I probably, to be honest with you, if I saw the way this looked, I may have entered in sales. I'm not even gonna lie, just because that would have looked pretty freaking bearish. Although
that looks like a small fake out.
That is a fake out because but you see how strong this rejection is. So it ends up making, we end up having the lowest low coming up, making another HL for higher low right here. But this probably would have faked me out if I was trading EJ. Only because like if I was going to follow the momentum, I would say, well, we're probably going to push down to the low side. But you always want to keep in mind your market structure. And you say, well, we definitely have a new higher low. So if we drop down to that 15-minute time frame, we can see exactly what happened. So exactly what happened, we ended up coming down, huge bullish spike, right? Pulls back down, makes another higher low. And then, wow, look how wild EJ was wild today.
Yeah,
and then ends up making a new high or low here, right? A little trend line for all those guys who love those trend lines or whatever. But then now that we've broken structure above, now we make the new high or low to really continue pushing up to that high side. You see what I'm saying?
And look at all those wicks; those are so bullish.
So bullish, like
just pushing away.
Extremely.
Like, to me, when I see that, it looks like it's just pushing away.
Exactly, it is pushing away. And then if you were to throw like the Wakar strategy in there, those 1450 EMAs, like you have such a strong rejection here by 8 o'clock.
Then look at that cross.
And then the cross inbound, and then what did we have? And then yep,
look how wide it gets.
It's huge. Yeah, it's too much. It's so much distance now. But if we were going to look at that 4-hour time frame for an example, we would see, okay, well, let's look at the 4-hour. Look at what 6 o'clock ended up doing. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to follow momentum even for that 10 o'clock. And then let's see what the pip count was, just so I can get a really good idea of how many pips it went, right? Like, look at how many pips that goes in 4 hours. Like, that's 22 pips. Like, how many pips are you guys really shooting for? You want 100 per entry? Like, good luck. You know what I mean? But 22 pips, if you're trading, 100 lot, I mean, think about that. It's $22,000, like, just from one entry. That's always the mentality that I have when I'm either teaching people or even for myself is, like, I like to go for 10 pips. If I can catch 10 pips comfortably, I'm closing out and I'm just running stop loss and profit. And I'm just letting it do its thing. Because you're going to get too greedy. I get too greedy. Like, anytime I get greedy, I lose every time. So let's see what this looks like by 10 o'clock. So by 10 o'clock, we end up having, boom, 7. This was our most recent, like, here was a nice structure. We ended up breaking this structure. We make another higher low here, right? And then now we're just, look at all these huge wicks, right? Huge wicks if we weren't trading at this time. But then we get in for that 10 o'clock. And what does 10 o'clock do? Ends up making more higher lows. We have a new higher high, a wick to potentially fill. But then we can see, look at, we're just respecting, we're like using the EMA as just like a dynamic support, right? And then as you can see right by that 945, right before the 10-hour candle, right? So if my buys are going here, like if I'm placing a buy anywhere in this area for that 10 o'clock momentum push, I'm keeping in mind that my stop loss is probably going to be around this wick. That's what I'm doing. So if I'm buy biased because of that 4-hour time frame push, then my stop loss is here. So if I'm making a buy like here, so let's see. So it ends up going up, 26 pips. So my stop loss might be around 12 pips. That might just be where my potential stop loss might be. I'm not saying that I'm going to be going for 22 pips or 25 pips, but this is my range where it's saying, well, this is where price could potentially go. So when I trade, I don't say, well, if I have a 12 pip stop loss, then I need at least a 20 pip take profit. That's not what my mentality does. My mentality just says I'm shooting for, number one, we have to see where the next zones are, because we can't forget the zones so that you actually know what the heck you're doing. Because if you don't know where the next zone is, you don't know when to enter or when to close. Because zones are extremely important, because your zones is your profit target.
Dude, zones are just as much part of your trading plan as everything else.
Exactly. Right? So we of course this would have been the potential, like, not only wick fill, but potential like area. Just looking at the top of these wicks here, probably an area that it wants to go. We're probably gonna just keep pushing up to that high side. Just we got Asian Open happening pretty soon. Wait, or is Asian Open back at 2 o'clock, or is it at 3 p.m. now? Is it 6 p.m.? I think it's 6 p.m. But as Raquel would teach you, like, Asian Open is usually like always bullish. So if you follow that higher time frame momentum, I wouldn't doubt it if we're going to keep pushing to the high side. And if we do, we're coming here. This would be the next zone. But if we're trading at the beginning of that 4-hour, then of course, let's go back to the 15-minute. Now that we have those other zones pulled up, here's right around 9:30, right? 10 o'clock is really the beginning of that candle. And as you can see, here's where our stop loss might be, right? So let's go look at that stop loss again to where our take profit is. It's huge. I think a lot of people are including myself sometimes, but just getting confused on where your stop loss should be. You know what I mean? Just where, because I think a lot of people might not know really how they're entering either. You know what I mean? Just how do I enter? Hey, stop your barking. what you're trading. I think it's trading plan too. So much has to do with trading plan to
Oh
the
yeah.
that a lot of people are just like, hey, I just want to enter into the market and hopefully price goes wherever it goes and I'm going to make $1 million. Like it just doesn't work that way.
Well, yeah, I've been doing one-on-ones with some people. Like I'm not a mentor or anything, but I've just been helping a couple people out, knocking these one-on-ones out. And the one thing I ask them is, have you ever typed out your trading plan? Have you ever put it in motion and printed it out? Because I have mine hung up. Because you can, if you just have it in your head, it doesn't count to me. Because you've got to really manifest it and write it out and go, okay, this is what I got to do. I have laws, I have rules. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
that's very important.
absolutely. No, I agree with you 100%. That yeah, I have mine all written out too. And
Yeah.
mine
Sorry, I just wanted to tell people that.
no, no, that's good. No, it's totally true. Like you should never be just entering into the market without your plan. Like sometimes like I still learn things. Like I follow so many people on Instagram that are just so many phenomenal traders and they're teaching me new things. And but what they're teaching me is to study more.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
like
Not to trade their way, but
no,
to like
just study.
look, be involved in the market every fucking day.
That's it. Like if you like Uncle Ted's a big believer in, you shouldn't be trading more than like 2 hours in a day. Trade one session. So if your trading plan is, hey, I'm gonna trade for 2 hours in a day, well, how many hours are you gonna be studying? So what does that mean? That you're trading what, like 6 hours a week, maybe? So how many hours do you think you should be studying? You should be studying at least
At least
double that.
twice that.
At least, yeah, double that. You should, and that's, even for myself, is sometimes I feel like, oh, I know too much. But you can never know too much because as soon as you think you know too much, guess what? You lose. You're done.
Yes. Be
Like,
humble and have respect for the market. It's like the ocean, you know. Like you're not going to go out in the ocean without a life jacket or a surfboard or something. You know, you need a
exactly.
device
Like,
for sure.
like if you're like a mortgage broker or something and you go to work, you're not gonna go to work without knowing what you're gonna make or what you can make. It's the same
Yeah.
thing when you're trading. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna just enter into the market. I'm gonna have this amount of pips, or I'm gonna be entering this lot size. I'm gonna be going for kind of this amount of pips. I'm gonna be sticking to this higher time frame bias, and this is how I'm gonna get my money. But if you don't have that idea of saying, okay, well, this is my daily goal. Maybe my daily goal is gonna be, well, I want to make, let's just say hypothetically, like $200. Okay, how are you gonna get to $200? Are you going to use zero point 0.1 lot sizes? Are you going to use 0.5 lot sizes? Are you going to use 1.0 lot sizes? How many pips are you going to be going for? How are you going to get there? If you don't know where your support and your resistance levels are, how do you know it's even going to go 10 pips? You know what I mean? Because sometimes when I'm trading, like I primarily shoot for 10 pips on all my entries. But sometimes I'm like maybe a micro pip or a pip away from the 10. So what do? You just close that shit. Like, just bag it.
Oh, I was just talking about this the other day. We were laughing. I've seen so many noobs be like, "Oh my gosh, like I was 5 micros away from my TP and it came back to my my entry," and I'm like, "You don't know how to manually close, or like,
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
just
but
close
they
it.
learn. That's how you learn, right? You learn from experience.
It's
That's your best.
and and
So
that it's so true. That's why so many successful forex traders, like if you legitimately talk, I mean, there's some that are just like really amazing where they're just the best swing trader. I'm not a good swing trader. I'm a scalp to swing, so I'll scalp and then I'll just let it ride. And if I catch more, I catch more. But I'm not. I've never been like a great swing trader. I like to get, if I stack multiple entries, close 5 to 10 pips, and I'm golden. You know what I mean? So there's
what I've seen that stands out from swing traders to scalpers, and I'm a scalper, is you have to have like imagination of the market structure to like really be playing out like over a few days. You know what I mean? And then
exactly.
you have to do that in all time frames.
Yeah.
And so like I think they just have like a different imagination. They look at the market differently, and that's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So just going back, like I'm just gonna go back to so like let's look at Euro USD now. So we're on Euro USD. So for you guys in here, like I'm trading primarily I'm trading Euro USD and USD Jappy a lot in the morning because at the time that I like to trade, like the London session is going to be closing pretty soon, so they're going to be wanting to get that last institutional push out during that U.S. dollar market, for New York session. So I really like Euro USD first thing in the morning. I like Euro. I've been adopting Euro Jappy lately because it's been paying me out pretty heavily, but it does move a little bit more wild, like kind of like how GBP Jappy moves. But in my opinion, not as crazy. Maybe I'm delusional and it does, and I'm just scared of GBP Jappy. And now I'm moving on to another one. I don't know, but so just going back into it, I'm just gonna write it back up, right? So I've got 6 a.m. 4-hour candle, just for repetition, consistency, 10 a.m. and let's just say 2 p.m. Right? So we've got three potential 4-hour candles that are gonna really show you where the market's going. So first thing in the morning, what do we have? We have another potential fake out, right? Like this might be like, oh shoot, like we're gonna push to the low side, but we have a major rejection here, and now we have another higher low. So if you were gonna skip all the nonsense from 6 a.m. and just get ready for the 10 a.m. candle, and look at where the momentum is. Look how strong this was. If we go down to the 15-minute time frame, what do we have again? We have the exact same thing. So here is by 6 a.m. Oh, you can even see where 6 a.m. was. Actually, it was creating higher highs and higher lows pretty much all morning for bullish structure. But we've got the low. Are you making some food right now? What are you making?
I was heating up my coffee.
Heck yeah. I need some coffee. That sounds good. Right?
Just heating up some coffee, brother.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I thought you were making like a cup of noodles or something.
No. I'm making teriyaki chicken with like broccoli and basmati tonight.
Heck yeah. So that sounds super vegan, bro. Right? So let's dive into it again. So we've got, whoops, I hate when it does that. Right? So I learned when I learned how to understand like higher highs and higher lows, that is pretty much what changed like everything for me in trading. When I was able to understand how a new higher high is formed or how a higher low is formed, it really changed so much in the game for me because combining that with 4-hour time frame, like so we say, okay, here's your 4-hour time frame. So we're leaving our trading plan open. What do we got? We didn't trade 6 a.m. So what do we got? We got 10 a.m. now. So what did 10 a.m. do? You can see looking at Euro USD, right? Right at 10 a.m. Follow the momentum. Look at where this is. It's so strong. Why would we be going down? Now we broke above structure again. There's nothing telling me that there's a reason why we couldn't be pushing to the high side. Going down to this wick area here, all the way to probably 2313. Like it doesn't make sense why we couldn't push up to that high side. Just because we closed above resistance now. We made another higher low on the 4-hour and just following the momentum.
Yeah.
Right? 15-minute time frame. If we look at 15-minute time frame. So if I'm leaving my trading plan open to say I'm going to trade at 10 o'clock, what do we have? We've got, well, look at where the structure is. Let's put the EMAs on just for fun.
Yeah, for sure.
You can see, right? We had early in the morning. Here's by 6 a.m. Huge spike. We have a new higher low, right? Pulls up, more higher highs, more higher lows, and it's right in time for 10. So you can see this was legit right at 10. So let's do a little pip count again. So let's say I'm getting in just at 10 o'clock, like right as 10 o'clock candle opens, which would have been right here. So my stop loss is going to be around this area. I'm going to say, well, my stop loss is going to be around these lowest wicks. That's just how my stop loss is going to be. So my stop loss might be around 12 pips. And then look what it ends up going up to. 15, 20 pips over the span of the next couple of hours. Just that risk to reward. So even though I might have a 15 pip or a 12 pip stop loss, my mentality is not saying, well, I want 22 pips then. My mentality is just saying, well, that leaves me more room to potentially stack more entries on a little bit of a pullback to keep pushing up. But in this case, there was zero drawdown, like legit. Like I would have been done in 2 15-minute candles like I usually am. You can see it goes up 12 pips in, 30 minutes. This is like a move like this I'm catching a day and I'm done. Literally. That's how.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
This is how I'm trading every single day. I'm doing the exact same thing every single day of the week just off that 4-hour time frame. You got that 4-hour time frame. just finished off finally strong. 10 o'clock, you launched up. USD Jappy. Oh, USD Jappy wasn't actually clean as maybe some other pairs. This is why I leave, my trading plan open to so many different pairs, because not so many, because I mean I've primarily only traded UJ for the past like year, but I just started incorporating more pairs because on days like today where USD Jappy maybe wasn't clear, I actually, if I was up in time, I would have taken sells, because you can see by following that momentum, price did go down. I think it was like that 15 pips. I think that's what we said that it was. 16 pips exactly, right? And then we got Euro Jappy now, the exact same thing. Let's look at Euro Jappy again. Let's look at that 4-hour time frame. The exact same thing. So maybe I didn't trade at 6 a.m., but you can leave your time frame open to say, well, maybe I'm going to trade for 10 o'clock then. Look what the 10 o'clock 4-hour candle did. Just made a large push again. There's just so much room for opportunity basing your trades off of these higher time frames. Oh, we got a lot of rejection going here. A lot of a nice low consolidation box on GU. Huge It's gonna break. It potentially might come down lower to go back up. I don't know. I'm staying out. I'm not trading anything. I don't think I'm gonna trade it all today.
No, I might trade London, but I'm not looking to trade Asian. I had a decent morning, and I just want to enjoy this day because it was nice and smooth.
Perfect. That's what I like.
One of those rare days.
Yeah.
One of the rare days.
One of those super rare. I feel you on that one.
You gotta embrace those and not screw it up.
And yeah, that's. Oops. I think my thing disappeared.
You're good.
I'm trying to find the chat room to see people that were saying
Christy said she wasn't able to use the link. I was looking in the thing.
She's in here.
Oh, she?
Yeah, Christy's in here. A lot of people are in here.
Oh, I can't. How come I can't see anyone?
You know what? I think it's because you're not a. I have to. I think I have to. That's why I needed to probably put your email in ahead of time. That way.
No, you're fine. I didn't know anyone was here. That's cool.
There's a lot of people in here. I don't know why he keeps like scamming out. There's 34 people in here right now.
Wow, cool.
Let me see. So people are saying it wasn't working on my phone. I got in after I got the code. Oh, that's what Christy just said. All right, we got another one. I joined late to the Webby, Kyle. In that pair, EJ, I thought it was going to continue downtrend. Why it changed the trend if it broke the support zone in the 4-hour? Let me go look at that again. And let's see. So on EJ, he's saying that it was going to go down. So if it broke that support. So actually, like what we were discussing here is this definitely was like a fake out. Like definitely a fake out for a continued momentum. You have to keep in mind your higher time frame structure still. Whoops. I need to make this as a lower low. You have to keep in mind your higher time frame structure still, because we've got it's a lower high, but I'm looking at it as a higher high because of the potential structure change. Because we have such a rejection here from last week, such a strong rejection after that news that what was this on? Like we have to keep in mind, like I haven't even touched on daily zones. Like look at this. Look how gnarly that daily ended up closing. Like look how gnarly this daily was. Super strong rejection. Super strong moving into yesterday, and then now today the new candle. Like I don't see why it wouldn't keep pushing to the high side. It doesn't make sense why it wouldn't.
I call those brick wall zones. You know what I mean? Like when it comes in, because price just bounces off like a bouncy ball.
Oh yeah. This was concluding. This was probably Friday, right? The 9th was Friday, I think. Yeah, this was Friday, and then this was Sunday, and then of course we do have Monday open. So to answer your question about why it didn't keep pulling down, it potentially was because if you would have saw what price looked at, like I didn't trade it, like it may have faked me out and I would have just waited for more confirm. A lot of it is waiting for confirm, right? Because you can see as soon as the 6 o'clock candle opened, it literally just launched. And that when you see price sitting on like a support, and if you see this strong of like a bullish engulfing, it has a potential that we might be pushing to that high side. And then we had I wouldn't have expected a pullback this gnarly. But look how gnarly that pullback ended up being. And then what did it do? It just kept launching. It was just a scary morning to potentially be scalping, especially if you had sells in. Like, writing 25 pip drawdown sell would have not been nice, especially if you had like 20 entries on there. That would have been kind of sketch. Shit. I'm just being straight up, dude. I'll drop 20, 30 entries on a trade. So if I was entering 20, 20 sells here, I would have probably taken a big hit and I would have been pissed off the rest of the day. And then I would have saw what happened and I'd be like, oh, well, I should have waited till 10 o'clock to get in. You know what I mean? Like that.
Exactly what we're talking about.
Like just allow. That's just why my trading plan is so open to so many different times of the day. But yeah, to answer, I mean, and another thing that I just noticed here too is I don't know how much you pay attention to price closing no wick, Andy, but
Yes, I do.
okay, especially on higher time frames, like if we see like, okay, well, we have another higher low and price close no wick, like that is a really good sign of exhaustion, like a really, really good sign of potential exhaustion. Price closing no wick. This wouldn't have been a good enough indicator for me at that time. I wouldn't have been like, oh, price closes no wick on the 4 hour. I'm just going full margin buys. Like, no, that wouldn't have been, enough confidence. But, looking there at that 15, who was that? Was that male? You got a box? Cool. Just looking at that 15-minute time frame, even just waiting, like just having more patience. This is why Ted is the GOAT, because he literally says that you should be giving yourself like 2 hours to trade. So if you're giving yourself 2 hours to trade, you should be patient enough to wait like an hour or an hour and a half for the optimal time for price to show you what it's doing.
Yep.
Literally. So if I'm getting on like at 6 o'clock, like, okay, I'm on at 6 o'clock. Well, I don't know where price is going. Boom, super engulfing, pullback, super rejection. Look, by just an hour and a half later, major engulfing. Wasn't a bad time to start stacking buys around for that new 1 hour close or open. Let's look at what the 1 hour did, because I do look at the 1 hour charts. So here's 5, here was 6. 6 left a wick to fill, but that wouldn't have been a good indication that we're going to fill it until price ended up closing like this on that 1 hour. That would have been a pretty good indication that we're going, to that bullish high side. And as you can see, we just keep going up. We're just going up. Look at where price closed. Especially if price closes like this in this next 3 minutes, like pretty much right on the resistance, but above the resistance still, then it's going here. Like it's just going up. And understanding, like the Asian candle is, Asian market's pretty much opening right now. The currency meter is probably going to be favoring the euro to the US dollar potentially. Well, the euro's got more strength. The US dollar has some strength too, but all out of nowhere this can like go to zero and like just be on one red, and the euro is super strong, so it's just pushing up. But anyways, so wrong pair. Was I on Euro Jeppy? Yeah, I was on Euro Jeppy. Yeah, look at Euro Jeppy. Oh, I didn't look at the meter for the Japanese yen. Look how weak the Japanese yen is. Euro is super strong. Japanese yen is super red. Well, maybe just follow that damn momentum. You know what I mean? Like, don't be afraid. Asian markets opening. I'm not saying take.
Well, it looks like it closed, like we talked about before. It looks like it kind of closed a little bit above your zone.
Yeah. Oh, on the 1 hour time frame. This one.
Yeah. Yep, right there.
Yeah, if it closes like that, but it's just sticking to your trading plans, you guys. Like, when you're, that's why my trading plan is so open, and my trading plan is simple. Like, my trading plan is all written out, but it's simple. Like, I would share my trading plan with anyone. I don't care, but it's simple. It literally is based around the opens of 4 hour candles. I'm basing my trades around the open of 4 hour candles. And if I have a confirm of a higher time frame bias, I'm looking at that 15-minute time frame for my either my stop losses if I'm bullish, or my stop losses if I'm bearish. It's really simple. Your trading plan doesn't need to be like a 6-page diagram looking like, the Declaration of Independence. Like, I know some people that have a trading plan that's literally like 6 pages long. Like, I don't know why it needs to be that big, but But
Yes,
but
mine's very simple.
it's just like I'll just like let me go to my Google thing real quick and I'll show you. So if I go to my Google and I go to my drive info, and then I'll go to my trading plan should actually be just like right here. Let me see college trading plan. So this is like an idea of um, trading plan, just so everybody. It's like you said, you got to like write it out, like what you do. So I saw someone online that they wrote like, why are you even trading? So I write out, why am I trading? I trade for my family. This is my job. Like I work for myself. I will not be greedy, right? Profit is profit. Closing profits. I talk about what my daily goals were, because my daily goal was just 4 entries for a long time. Just taking 4 entries at 5 to 10 pips each. Close two entries at 10 pips with stop loss and profits. If the trend kept going in my favor, I would just move my stop loss a little bit higher, and just to take a little bit more money. This is what my trading plan looks like. Check the daily and 4 hour time frame at 6 a.m. before the new 4 hour candle. Right, identify direction of trend. Identify major support and resistance zones. You got to draw up your zones. Right, once the trend is identified, switch to 15-minute time frame and look for my 2-2 setups, my higher highs, my higher lows, lower highs. And then the times that I check, 6 a.m., 4 hour, and 1 hour candles. If I do not have the direction, like I was talking about in the beginning, I check at 8 a.m., 1 hour. If I don't have the direction, then check at 9 a.m. If I have no direction, I'll wait till 4 o'clock, right? Or 10. I'll wait till 10 a.m. for that new 4 hour candle. I like 12 o'clock. Sometimes 12 o'clock has a nice little push too in that beginning of the hour. So there's just little notes and stuff that I give myself um, when it revolves like trading plan. But you guys definitely need to like draw, like what Andy said, like write it out. Like either type it out or write it out. You have to. Don't be like don't be like me. Like I went without a trading
Yeah.
plan for like a year, and then it got me nowhere besides a lot of money in debt.
If you had to go to a job, you would have to go and do certain things, right? And that we got to look at this as our job, and that should be part of your job description is to do these kinds of things.
Yeah, you're not going to sign your life away to a company unless you know how much money you're going to make, what your commission might be, what your overtime is going to be. Otherwise you're going to be like, "Oh, well I can go somewhere that's going to pay me more." So you have to have that same mentality when trading in the foreign exchange market. I lost you there. What happened?
Look, Euro USD is pushing up
It's probably all going to be pushing up.
on the 15 hours. But you were just talking about that because it was down in that area.
Yeah, we've got here's your 4 hour time frame, right? We have already closed. If you look at, let me delete everything. Let me just delete everything. We've got the start of a new candle. Let me just drop a couple little zones across the screen, right? And then, once a big problem when you have, not a problem, but when you have all this open space, you might be like, well, I have to go to the daily time frame because you need to be able to get a bigger picture to see where those zones are at, right? So we're kind of approaching this little wick range area that we're going to go, but then the next area that we're going to go, could be potentially up into this range, or at least, or tapping these zones. We can come up here. We might come up here and just like, I'm not going to make a zone this big, but we might come up here and even just tap this wick range area. Just like if it were to come up here and just tap it, like it might just end up going back down to the bearish side. You know what I mean? Because it might.
And kind of making a head and shoulders right there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But if like I said, I'm trading around the 4 hour time frame candles. So this new 4 hour candle opened not too long ago, right? An hour ago, but it after the daylight savings time, the Asian session is not going to open until 1 hour after that 4 hour candle. So keeping in mind that Asian session is usually always bullish, but if we're going to follow the momentum, look how strong this closed above. So the next zone that we're going to go to is the next zone. And if we break that zone, we're going to go to the next zone, right? The 15-minute time frame, it was just making higher high, higher low. It broke support or it broke resistance. Now we made a new higher high. Failed. It came back down to where the resistance. Oops. Get a phone call. Oops. My gosh. Hold on. So, because more often than times, what happens is when on that 15-minute time frame, like if price is gonna break, like see we had our resistance area, so we break our resistance. More out of less times, price will literally come back and just tap that zone again, so that resistance legitimately turns support. And then what did it do? It broke through the resistance. Now the resistance is support. We failed to break. Now we're going back up, right? But you can see all we're doing is making higher, higher low, another higher low. It's just a straight bullish trend, right? Higher high, higher high, another higher high. It's just making higher high, higher low, higher high. It broke support or broke resistance, went to the next resistance, came back down, failed to break support, right? So resistance now turns support, breaks resistance again, comes back down, resistance now turns support again, and it just keeps going into the structure. And like Wakar is such a legend at these 1450 EMAs. We've got this major, like, look at the distance now. Like the distance is starting to creep up, kind of showing us that we are going into that little bullish trend. But this is that next zone. We're going to that next zone, like probably just right now.
Yeah, there might be a bounce too.
Yeah, it might. It's potential.
Look, if you look on, I'm looking at.
What are you looking at?
Well, on 15-minute. I guess. Yeah, it's right at a resistance right now.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty good resistance because you can't see it unless you look at the daily chart. Because I'm just looking at the daily and I'm looking at this candle that kind of closed this wick range area. But because the momentum is pretty strong, I would say that we might be coming up to like 1.9, like maybe another 20 pips or so. It might go up, and it might just keep pushing up. Like it might just keep going all the way up. Like because if you see how this daily closed from yesterday till today, it's super bearish or bullish. It's a really strong bullish momentum that if you're looking at that 4 hour, the 4 hour closed super strong. It is approaching
look at the previous 2 days.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just making higher low, higher low. This is this is what it's like just following the momentum, you guys. Like if you just stick to that higher time frame confirm, and just gauge your stop loss around that recent support or resistance if it's bullish or bearish. That's what I do. That's my trading plan is very simple. I'm not like I don't like pray to like the freaking Egyptian gods before I start trading or anything. I don't do anything weird. I just follow the higher time frame momentum and I look for my support and resistance for my stop loss on the 15-minute time frame. That's literally how I trade. I trade in the beginning of the 4 hour candles and the daily candle. So for me, the new daily candle, I mean, it only happens once in one day. So at the beginning of a daily candle, it usually is going to show you what's going to happen into the approach of that next daily candle, which just opened an hour ago. And then if you just look at the history on any pair, we've been making higher highs and higher lows on EU, so we're going up. I don't want to look at UJ right now because UJ was kind of ugly today. EJ, the same thing, higher highs and higher lows. It's just going up, right? We're going to the next zone. Look at it with a 4 hour close. It just closed so strong with momentum. We're going up to the next. We're going up to the next zone, the next resistance area. Look at what GBP USD. It's the exact same thing. Where do you think GBP USD is going? It's going to the exact same thing. GU is probably going up to this area. Now we have this wick range area that we can potentially go fill. It can potentially fill this wick range area. We have made a higher low on the 4 hour, so it's a really good sign for a bullish structure. If you're into the trend line areas, the trend lines and whatnot. But for me, I'm going for 10 pips. So if I catch 10 pips to position, I'm good. I don't need to worry about the rest of the day. I don't care. I don't care what price goes after that.
Gold's wilding out right now.
Is it going down, huh?
No, it pushed up, and then yeah, I just said it's wilding out. I don't know what it's about.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
kind of doing its own thing.
yeah. Open stuff.
Yo, gold, like I'm not gonna lie to you, like I've made the most money trading gold, but at the same time, like gold just does weird shit too sometimes. That you got to be careful, like because you can't trade baby lots on gold, so you're only trading big lots on gold. So
No,
you
it can swing 10 pips either way really fast.
really fast, really fast. So if you're not equipped for trading gold, don't trade gold. If you're just not
Yeah,
ready for it, like don't just wait for the big moves. Wait for the big confirm moves. Like here's another prime example of like trading gold. So if you see gold here from 2 to 6 a.m. following the momentum closed so strong bearish right as the 6 a.m. candle close. Like it drops hella pips for the next 8 hours. It's crazy. It's crazy.
the gold is wild.
Gold is wild. But
Wild fast. Gold rush.
but anyways, I didn't even check to see if what everyone was saying. But yo, thanks for like hopping on last minute. I was like, yo, Andy, hop on, and you're like, I'm down. Like that was cool.
Anytime. I learn from all this stuff too.
I do too.
It's never ending process of thinking and learning and listening to everyone else's ideas and seeing how they see the market, and how they interpret it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's cool.
That's it's like one thing that always stuck with me that Uncle Ted said, and I literally repeat it probably every week, is there's many ways of getting to 10. 5 times 2 is 10, right? 10 plus 10 plus 0 is 10. Like
I have a thing to say the same thing. Like 100 roads can lead to the same destination. So.
Exactly, and that's I mean, but if someone tries telling me to use like people will ask me like, what do you think about Fibonacci, and I'll say like, never use it. Like I'm pretty biased on a lot of things, but at the same time, there's many ways of getting to 10. So you can't really you can't knock how other people trade. You just learn from each other. Like you don't have to adopt their style.
Profitable is profitable.
Profitable is profitable. If it wasn't for Raquel teaching me like what a wick fill was and what higher time frame momentum was, I still would not be making any money in the forex markets personally. Because those little things are literally like the basis of.
They're simple nuggets, but it's so important. You know what I mean?
They're huge. They're huge. Let me.
Gems.
I want to just see what other people are saying, because we're approaching the cutoff time here.
You're good.
So let me see. I can't. It won't let me even. I don't know why it won't let me even read. I'm seeing something about Forex Factory. I can't read it, but yeah, I do check Forex Factory absolutely. Usually first thing in the morning. Gotta see what kind of news is popping up in the Forex Factory. I'm not. Let me go back so my screen is showing. It's not letting me. It won't let me view any more questions. I don't know why. Our trend lines. I think someone's saying are trend lines important, or do you only use it for, or you really? So I personally don't use trend lines. Like I've used them sometimes, but I am no one to say that they're good or bad. I know people that trade trend lines and they make way more money than I do. They're really good. So you just train your eye with whatever you see. Like for me, I just trade that higher time frame momentum. I just trade with the naked chart. I trade with the 4 hour time frame. I get in off the 4 hour and I look for market structure, and I look for my stop loss and take profit areas, depending on where the zones are. So for me, I don't use trend lines, but trend lines are very important. I think a lot of people who know how to use them right are really really good at it. Let me see the next. If I see any other questions here. I wish that everybody can um like on Zoom. You know how Zoom is, and like everybody's in a chat room and they can talk. I wish
Yeah.
I wish GoToWebinar was like that.
I don't see any of that either.
It's not here. It's I don't know why it's not doing it. Do you look for specific candles as confirm on lower time frame for entry? Yeah, I look at certain candles on lower time frame for entries. Like if I see like kangaroo tails or like certain things, but why are you laughing? I love.
The kangaroo tail thing.
Oh, back in the other one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't. I mean, I'm not looking for like the only candle patterns I'm looking for is like a really strong, bullish or bearish on the 4 hour time frame. That's like my only candle confirm. That's all I really care about. And then if I look at like 5 different pairs, I can just choose which one I like better. And I can say, well, this one's cleaner than this one, so I'm going to trade this one instead, and I'll be done for the day. That's just my in particular way of trading. What else? What do we got here? Do you look for specific? Oh, that was the specific candles. We should we should get some noobs to interpret what they see. What? What do you mean? Oh, correct them after. I like that. Big time important trend line. Yeah, see, people like trend lines. Like, there's nothing wrong with trend lines. I don't think anything's really wrong with trend lines. Um, 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. is 1 hour apart. No, 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. is definitely 4 hours apart. But there's you've got 6 a.m. and then you have 4 hours until the 10 a.m. candle. So that it gives you 4 1 hour candles and what is it like 20 15-minute candles, whatever. What are the next? I'm kind of like running out of questions here. But anyways, I hope everybody kind of took a little something away from today. I always take something away. I'm glad Andy joined.
For sure.
It made me
Yeah,
feel better.
no, thanks for inviting me. And anytime you want a guest or need a guest, I'd be happy to hop on.
I'm down. So I mean, I do like this one in particular is like a reoccurring one for every Monday. So
That's cool.
I usually I'll hop on like on Mondays and I'll do like market assessments or just go over what trade I took Monday morning or Sunday if I trade market open. And then I usually like to do at least one like large webinar a week just to kind of help people out, get their minds. Just people are not helping people, man. Like it's
For sure.
like
I love it.
it's so selfish that like people are out there. They're like, oh, I want to be a forex mentor and sell signals for $99 a month, but they'll never do a free webinar for anyone ever. Like,
No, they barely even know how to trade.
yeah, like why would why are you not helping people out? Like help people out. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta.
I'm the same way, buddy. But
Oh, I got a good question from Ollie. So Ollie, how do you deal with hour 4 candle on Trader's Domain? Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. I actually stopped using the Trader's Domain for a little bit until they can work out some kinks because it scares me. There is no like 4 hour candle sometimes on Trader's Domain. It's weird. Like for the most part, when I'm trading, I'm usually all of my signals come from TradingView. So I'm always looking at TradingView and then I make my entries on MetaTrader 4 or MetaTrader 5 now because Trader's Domain. But there, I don't really have an answer for that because, Trader's Domain, I don't know why, but they were kind of missing.
It's the GMT and GMT2. Like GMT is what we trade on with IC Markets, right? And then Ted's on GMT2, or is it the opposite?
Oh, I don't know. That's a phenomenal question.
No, because that's one thing me and Vinzarelli
Yeah.
on Instagram, Vinny.
Yeah.
Me and Vinny had talked about that, and so that's why I'm waiting for that too with Traders Domain because like I want to support Ted because like he's the man.
Oh, absolutely. Like I'm all for dude, you can just put like $5,000 in an account and just hook it up to Uncle Ted and he can like pay for all your bills if he was like
full margin, Uncle Ted, fucking.
But you know what I mean though? Like like
full margin copy trade.
yeah, like you hook your account up to Uncle Ted's or like, any profitable trader and like you can live off of these guys. Like if they're
you can actually diversify. Like you can follow like 6 people at once. You know what I mean? And really, I mean, yeah, it's like almost playing the stock market. You got your blue chips. You know what I mean? You got your Apple. You got your whatever. You're just boom. It's like a 401k.
Yeah, no, it's no joke. Like I mean, until Ted's ready to retire, I mean, this guy should probably retire already. But
Ted's not the kind of guy that's going to retire. He likes to work and he likes to help people, which is
no, he
beautiful.
does. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
He loves helping people. Um, but anyways, yeah, Ollie. So I don't have an answer for that. Trader when I the problem is I haven't figured out how to download MetaTrader 4 on my Mac. I've got MetaTrader 5. I have MetaTrader 4, but for some reason I can't figure out how to put MetaTrader 5 on my Mac now. And I don't like to just trade off my phone. I really don't like it because I can't like I can stack a lot of entries, but I can't close them as fast as I can stack them like I can close on my computer. So I get really nervous when I trade on the trader's domain because like I'll be up all this profit and then all of a sudden like the profit's gone and then I'm negative but then I'm up. Like it just moves like really really weird.
The
So
bugs will be the bugs will be fixed.
yeah,
I'm
oh
sure they already
absolutely,
are.
absolutely. I'm super satisfied just with the fact that Uncle Ted has provided something that's so diverse.
Just think like a year from now, 6 months from now, like 2 years from now, it's gonna change a lot of things.
Oh,
It'll be its old name.
it'll be the yeah it's definitely gonna be by far one of the greatest brokerages out there. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Hundred
Yep,
percent,
I believe that.
100%, 100%.
Sure.
So, but anyways, Andy, thanks
Yeah,
for
thank you.
coming, bro. It was awesome. I
Yeah,
appreciate
hey,
it.
I'll see you in the chats, of course.
I'll see you in 2 minutes. But anyways, guys, thanks for coming in. Yeah, same time next week. If you signed up, of course, you're gonna have an email that'll get sent to you. Like you know how these work. So you guys will be able to just pop in next week. So you know, like I always say, if you guys like have any questions or anything, just reach out to us. Reach out to any of your mentors, whatever you want. Um, we're here for you guys. Like I really enjoy helping to teach. I'm not a guru. I'm not the best. I have a very simple trading plan. Um, I learned how to trade very easily, it took me a long time, and then it became easier as time went on. But I think that entries was one thing that many people struggle with, and not knowing where their next zone is to close. I go for 10 pips. That's it. I go for 10 pips. If I catch more than 10 pips, I just let the trade ride. I just do stop loss and profit, and I let it do its thing. So I just like I said, I like to just get in and get out and close with 10 pips. That's my golden little 10 pip rule. Because if I'm stacking 10, 20 pips, if I catch 10 pips or 10, 20 entries, I catch 10 pips, I caught 200 pips. So I like to stack. I stack pretty heavily sometimes. So that's why I only go for a few pips. But the most successful traders, in my opinion, will literally catch 3 to 10 pips a trade. That's it. 3 to 10 pips, right? You got like maybe a pip that will cover your brokerage fee, spread maybe, and then the rest is your take-home profit. But anyways, I'm going to get ready to close down. I'm going to do a little edit. I'll upload it to YouTube, and I will send this into your guys' emails too. I'll upload it to the, GoToWebinar sends like a little thank you email. So you guys will get a little thank you email, whatever, and then I'll upload the webinar into that so you guys can rewatch it if you guys missed something. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you guys soon.